My name is Scott Sands. You can find me on X and the social platforms at Scott Sands Media. We're in the Element Wealth studio on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Next hour, we'll kind of preview the Oscars, talk more about this Gene Hackman story, which is kind of weird, and the Epstein list comes into play as well. Mississippi State Senator David Blount is joining me now. He is the chairman of the Senate Gaming Committee and vice chair of the Senate Education Committee, representing Senate District 29, which I just looked at. Man, that's all gerrymandered to hell. Senator, it's great to meet you. Thanks for coming on the show with me today.
Thank you for having me, Scott.
So what's the deal with sports wagering in Mississippi? And I live here in Ohio now. We just had legalized online sports wagering passed about 1.5 years, 2 years ago now, and it's bringing in a ton of money. What's been the delay in Mississippi?
Well, the difference, I'm not familiar with Ohio, but the difference between Mississippi and a lot of other states is that we have a well-established casino industry in our state. I think if we didn't have casinos in Mississippi, we would have already had mobile sports betting in Mississippi. But because we have about almost 30 casinos in the state, and they employ tens of thousands of people. Anytime we have a bill dealing with gambling in any form, we go to the people who are in that business, who have invested a lot of money in that business and employ an awful lot of people, directly and indirectly. The casino industry to date is evenly divided, 50-50, in terms of the ownership groups in the state as to whether they think this is going to help their business or hurt their business. The proponents of mobile sports betting often are the bigger companies. They're international companies that already have existing relationships with the folks you see advertising on TV anytime you try to watch a ball game. The smaller operators don't have access to those apps, and about 4 apps control about 90% of the market in the country. And so the industry itself is not on the same page.
But there are dozens of apps that are gaining in popularity all the time. We've got casinos in Ohio as well, and it seems like the way I've read at least one of the bills is that it would be a win-win. Casinos get a cut, bettors get convenience, the state gets some tax revenue. And Senator, you and I have never talked before, so I honestly don't know where you stand on this issue. First of all, do you gamble at all? Do you bet on games at all? Because if I were you in Mississippi, I would have been taking the over on Ole Miss football and the under on the Mississippi State football team total all season long and made a killing.
No, I don't. But I appreciate the fact, again, that tens of thousands of Mississippians work in this business, and they support their families and they work hard. So what is the impact on those jobs? The reason we have gaming in Mississippi, and it's been more than 30 years, long before since I got elected to the legislature, is to encourage investment, to create jobs, and to grow tourism, to bring other people from other places to Mississippi. Mobile sports betting doesn't do that. Mobile sports betting is in a lot of states, and a lot of people want to do that, and I respect that, but it is a different product than the product that we already have.
But with all due respect, Senator, the people aren't coming into the casinos for the most part to wager on sports either. They might do that while they're there. They're coming in to play the slots and the table games. And
that's right.
I saw the all-you-can-eat buffet is coming back to Boomtown Casino as well. What this does provide the state is more revenue, so you don't have to tax income and property as much as you might. I think what the bill in Mississippi would be a 12% tax on sports wagers. 8% goes to the state, 4% to local governments. That's correct. $40 to $80 million annually.
That's not what I hear. I have seen billboards around town from the proponents that I saw one this morning on High Street, driving to the Capitol, for $20 million. Look, the revenue argument to me is if you're up here wanting to cut taxes by $2 billion, if you're up here wanting to reduce the revenue to the state by $2 billion, and then you say, well, we really need this, we really need that $20 million. Well, that's 0.0000002% of the tax cut. So the revenue argument to me, when you're talking about eliminating $2 billion from the state budget, to me is not a legitimate argument. A legitimate argument would be there are people who want to do this, and they can do it in other states. So, that's a legitimate argument, but don't talk to me about the need for revenue when you're decimating the revenue to the state.
Well, there are people in Mississippi who want to do this. We're talking to State Senator David Blount here, Middays with Gerard on SuperTalk Mississippi. Louisiana went live with mobile betting in January of 22 with a 15% tax rate and collected, I believe, $52.2 million, which is significant. And as you talk about consumer demand, since the NFL season kicked off last fall, the state of Mississippi logged nearly 9 million attempts to access legal mobile sports books. So people obviously want this, and instead they're going to illegal offshore betting sites, which is bleeding the state dry.
That's right. Many people are doing that. The Senate has passed a strong bill, a bipartisan bill, at the request of the Gaming Commission to crack down on these illegal operators. I think everybody wants to do that, regardless of where you stand on this issue. That bill is awaiting action in the House. This is something the Gaming Commission has asked for, something that has worked in Tennessee. So we're trying to take action and have a tough law to deal with the stuff that's going on in the state that is illegal.
So, Senator, what's the next step? I believe there's a bill. It's got to get out of committee, I think, by next week, right?
Tuesday, yes.
Yeah. So I'm not in Mississippi, so I haven't been following this debate closely. What kind of support does it have in the legislature?
Well, it did pass the House. I have had some people in the Senate who have talked to me about it. I've had some people in the Senate who are opposed to it. I mean, as I said, the industry is divided 50-50. There are a lot of casino owners in this state that believe that this is going to hurt their business and is going to move from brick and mortar casinos and people having to come to the casino to gamble to increasingly gambling on your phone. There are 7 states in the country that allow complete iGaming on your phone, not just sports betting, but poker. And if you're in Ohio, they have in West Virginia, you can play poker, you can play slots, you can do everything you can do on a casino on your phone. There are people who believe that that's where this is headed. I think that would be a disaster. I'm not for anything. Now, to be fair to my friends in the House, the bill does not allow for that, the bill this year, but there is a clear move in states around the country because they see it as easy revenue to move towards full-on iGaming. And I have concerns that once people start betting on their phones, and you're seeing an increased number of problem gaming, dramatic increases in problem gaming, probably where you live and other places, that there's risk there. So I'm just being cautious until we see what the full impact is on casinos in states that have casinos and on problem gaming in the states.
Yeah, I certainly would agree with you that iGaming could perhaps potentially impact casinos more than sports wagering would. The problem here in Ohio, where it's been legal for, as I said, a couple of years, is that the governor, Mike DeWine, a Republican, and many of the Republican legislature here are opposed to all of these vices that many of us enjoy. And now in Ohio, they're wanting to almost double the tax rate on online sports wagering for the worst reason possible, Senator, and that's to pay for a new stadium for the Cleveland Browns. I can't think of a worse use of taxpayer money than to support the Browns right now, or certainly to pay for a new stadium.
I can't speak to what's going on in Cleveland, but again, what the impact is for just mobile sports betting on bricks and mortar casinos is something that I'm concerned about, and I think that's why half of the casino operators in this state are opposed to the bill.
Yeah, what does that do, in your opinion, to the ability to attract tech-savvy entrepreneurs to the state? Wouldn't that be a boon as well?
No, I don't think there's any relationship. I think tech-savvy entrepreneurs are probably smart enough to know that if you're gambling, ultimately you're going to end up losing. And we want to attract tech-savvy entrepreneurs to the state, but I don't think whether or not we have mobile sports betting or not is going to play any part of that discussion.
State Senator David Blount, it's nice to meet you. I appreciate your time. It's nice to meet you, and thanks for having this conversation with us.
Thank you, Scott, for having me on. Have a nice weekend.
I see some comments coming in about this as well on the C Spire text